Stop blaming your age for your weak legs. If you walked into your kitchen right now, I could point to 6 specific items sitting on your shelves that are actively dissolving your muscle tissue like sugar in hot water. You think you're eating a light lunch or a heart healthy spread, but biologically, you are potentially feeding a process that turns strong muscle fibers into useless fat. The heaviness you feel when climbing stairs, that isn't just getting old, that is a chemical reaction caused by what is hiding in your pantry. We need to talk about a silent crisis happening in kitchens across the world. It is not just about gaining a few pounds of fat. It is about losing the one thing that keeps you independent, your muscle mass. There is a specific biological process called sarcopenia, a fancy Greek term that literally translates to poverty of flesh. It sounds terrifying, and frankly, it should be a wake-up call. Sarcopenia is the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength, and it is the primary reason seniors lose their independence. But here is the twist that most doctors won't have time to explain during a 15-minute checkup. This muscle loss is not always natural. In many cases, it is being accelerated, effectively turbocharged by specific ingredients hiding in your pantry right now. We are going to walk through 6 specific foods that are masquerading as harmless staples, but are actually muscle wasting culprits. By the end of our time together today, you will not only know exactly what to clear out of your cupboards, but you will also understand the Leucine Solution, a nutritional strategy to flip the switch on muscle growth even after 70. If you are ready to take control of your independence and stop shrinking, consider subscribing to the channel. We share the practical senior health tips that most doctors simply don't have time to cover. And before we start, let me ask, what is the one food you think is healthy, but you aren't quite sure about? Let me know in the comments below. It is always incredible to see the wisdom this community shares. Now, let's open the pantry door and look at the first culprit, one that sits innocently on the shelves of almost every household, often seen as a comfort food or a quick fix for a cold. I'm talking about high sodium canned soups. You might think a bowl of chicken noodle or tomato soup is a light, healthy option, especially when you don't have a big appetite. But biologically, these processed soups are often salt bombs that wage war on your vascular system. Your muscles need a constant, robust supply of oxygen and nutrients delivered by your blood. When you consume the massive amounts of sodium found in a single can, sometimes upwards of 1,000 milligrams per serving, you trigger a cascade of fluid retention and vascular stiffness. Imagine your blood vessels are like garden hoses delivering water to a flower bed, which is your muscle tissue. High sodium intake acts like a kink in that hose. A study published in the Journal of Clinical Hypertension highlighted that excessive sodium intake is directly linked to endothelial dysfunction. That's the stiffening of the inner lining of your blood vessels. When those vessels stiffen, blood flow decreases. If your leg muscles aren't getting adequate blood flow, they aren't getting the amino acids they need to repair themselves, nor are they clearing out the metabolic waste efficiently, you are essentially starving your muscles of the resources they need to stay strong, leading to that feeling of weakness and fatigue. The fix here is simple, but requires vigilance. You have to flip the can and look at the label. If the sodium content for a single serving is nearing 20% of your daily value, put it back. Better yet, make a large batch of homemade vegetable soup on Sunday, freeze it in individual portions, and season it with potassium-rich herbs like parsley and oregano, which actually help relax those blood vessels. Moving right along the shelf, we find something that often accompanies that soup, refined white crackers. They seem so benign, don't they? They are dry, bland, and easy on the stomach. But nutritionally, they are what we call naked carbohydrates. When you eat a stack of white crackers, you are essentially injecting pure glucose into your bloodstream. This causes a rapid spike in blood sugar, followed by a massive release of insulin. Now, you might be thinking, I'm not diabetic. Why does this matter for my legs? It matters because chronic insulin spikes lead to a condition called insulin resistance. And skeletal muscle is the primary site for glucose disposal in the body. When your muscles become resistant to insulin due to a high carbohydrate diet, they lose their ability to efficiently take in energy. Even worse, this state promotes the storage of fat inside the muscle fibers, a condition known as myosteatosis. Think of a high quality steak, you want it lean. But in myosteatosis, your leg muscles start to look like highly marbled Wagyu beef infiltrated with fat. This fat doesn't contract, it just takes up space and weakens the muscle structure. Research from the journal Diabetes Care has shown that insulin resistance is a strong predictor of frailty and accelerated muscle loss in older adults. Every time you snack on those refined crackers, you are potentially encouraging your body to replace functional muscle fiber with useless fat. Instead, we want to look for crunch from sources that bring fiber and protein to the party. A seed cracker packed with flax or chia seeds, or even a handful of walnuts, provides that satisfying texture without the insulin disaster, keeping your muscle fibers lean and functional. Now, let's talk about what you might be having with your afternoon tea. We often feel we deserve a little treat, perhaps a couple of sugary tea biscuits or cookies. It's just a little sugar, right? The problem here goes beyond just calories. It is about a chemical reaction happening inside your body called glycation. When you have excess sugar floating in your bloodstream, which happens rapidly after eating those sweet biscuits, sugar molecules can permanently bond to proteins in your body. This forms sticky, harmful compounds aptly named AGEs, or advanced glycation end products. Think of it like caramelizing sugar in a pan. It gets sticky and hard. This same process happens to the collagen and elastin in your body, specifically in your tendons and muscle tissue. Your muscles are not just isolated fibers. They are wrapped in connective tissue that needs to be elastic and snappy for you to move efficiently. AGEs make this tissue stiff and brittle. A study published in the Journal of Gerontology, Biological Sciences, found that higher levels of circulating AGEs were associated with weaker grip strength and slower walking speeds in older adults. That stiff feeling you have when you try to get out of the chair, it might not just be arthritis. It could be the caramelization of your connective tissues from years of afternoon biscuits. We need to break this cycle. I'm not saying you can never have a treat, but let's swap the daily sugary biscuit for a square of high quality dark chocolate, at least 70% cocoa. The flavonoids in dark chocolate are potent antioxidants that can actually help combat the inflammation that sugar promotes, protecting your muscle quality rather than degrading it. This brings us to a crucial concept that acts as a pillar for everything we are discussing today, the anabolic mistake. There's a pervasive myth that as we get older, we need to eat less because our metabolism slows down. While it is true our caloric needs might dip slightly, our nutrient needs specifically for muscle repair actually skyrocket. The mistake many seniors make is eating like a bird, consuming tea and toast diets that simply do not provide the building blocks to maintain mass. When you eat too little, or when you eat foods that are calorically dense but nutrient poor, your body enters a catabolic state. This means it starts eating its own muscle tissue to survive. It is a survival mechanism, but for a senior, it is a disaster. We have to shift our mindset from dieting to nourishing. We are not trying to be as small as possible. We are trying to be as strong as possible. This leads us directly to the fourth item, which is often marketed as a solution to this very problem: low protein meal replacement shakes. You have seen them in the pharmacy aisles promised as a complete meal in a bottle. The marketing is seductive. Ensure your health, they say, but flip the bottle around and look at the ingredient list. The first ingredient is often water, followed by corn syrup or sugar, and then a low quality protein source like milk protein concentrate or soy isolate. But the real crime here is the dosage. Many of these shakes contain only 10 or 12 grams of protein. For a younger person, that might be a decent snack, but for you, it is biologically insufficient to trigger muscle growth. This is where the Leucine Solution comes in. As we age, our muscles develop a resistance to protein signals, a phenomenon known as anabolic resistance. To punch through this resistance and tell your body to build muscle, you need a specific threshold of an amino acid called leucine. Research published in Frontiers in Nutrition suggests that older adults need approximately 2.5 to 3 grams of leucine per meal to stimulate muscle protein synthesis. Those standard pharmacy shakes rarely hit this mark. They are keeping you alive, but they are not keeping you strong. You are drinking sugar and ineffective protein, thinking you are doing the right thing. So what is the fix? You don't necessarily need a shake, but if you enjoy liquid nutrition, you need to make your own or buy high-end clinical versions specifically designed for muscle retention. A homemade smoothie with whey protein isolate, which is naturally high in leucine, blended with spinach and berries is infinitely superior. You are aiming for 30 grams of high quality protein in that glass. That is the magic number to overcome anabolic resistance. And tell your legs, we are not done yet. We are building. While we are discussing processed fats, we have to address a tub that might be sitting in your fridge right now, margarine. For decades, we were told that butter was the enemy and that these vegetable oil spreads were the heart healthy savior. Science has since taken a much more nuanced look at this. While many margarines have removed the deadly trans fats, they are still primarily composed of industrial seed oils high in omega-6 fatty acids. Now, omega-6 is essential in small amounts, but our modern diet provides a massive oversupply, throwing off the delicate balance with omega-3 seconds. When this ratio is out of whack, it creates a systemic inflammatory environment in the body. Chronic low-grade inflammation is like a slow-burning fire that eats away at muscle tissue. It elevates a marker in your blood called C-reactive protein, CRP. A pivotal study in the Journal of Applied Physiology demonstrated that higher levels of inflammatory markers like CRP and IL-6 are significantly associated with lower muscle mass and strength in the elderly. Essentially, if your body is inflamed, it is too busy fighting that internal fire to focus on rebuilding your quadriceps. Margarine is often a pro-inflammatory food. The simple switch here is to go back to basics. Use modest amounts of real grass-fed butter, which contains butyrate, a fatty acid that is good for the gut, or better yet, use extra virgin olive oil. Olive oil is rich in oleocanthal, a compound that mimics the anti-inflammatory effects of ibuprofen. Imagine that drizzling a medicine for your muscles right over your salad, helping to put out the inflammatory fire rather than fueling it with margarine. We are down to number 6. And this one might be the hardest to hear because it is a staple of the quick lunch. Processed deli meats, ham, turkey slices, salami, bologna. They are convenient, they are tasty, and technically they are protein, but they come with a hidden nitrate danger. To keep these meats pink and preserve them for weeks in the fridge, manufacturers add sodium nitrate or nitrite. When you consume these, especially in the presence of high heat or acidic environments like the stomach, they can form nitrosamines. But for your legs, the issue is, again, about the blood vessels. We talked earlier about stiff arteries from sodium. The nitrates and the high levels of preservatives in these meats can cause oxidative stress that damages the endothelial lining of your arteries, the very highways that transport nutrients to your legs. Furthermore, processed meats are often incredibly high in sodium, doubling down on the vascular damage. A staggering study from the sheer scale of the data, published in the Archives of Biochemistry and Biophysics, links nitrosamine exposure to cellular DNA damage and oxidative stress, which accelerates the aging of tissues. And more directly, epidemiological studies have repeatedly shown that high consumption of processed meats is linked to higher rates of frailty in older women and men. You are eating something that makes your blood vessels old before their time. The swap, it takes a little more work, but it is worth it. Buy a real turkey breast or a whole chicken, roast it on Sunday, and slice it yourself for the week's sandwiches. You get pure, high leucine protein without the chemical preservatives that stiffen your arteries. If you are finding these tips useful, please take a second to give this video a thumbs up. It helps more people find this life-saving information. And I want to pause here because I know this list might feel restrictive. You might be thinking, what can I eat? The answer is abundance. We are clearing out the fake foods to make room for nutrient-dense powerhouses: eggs, Greek yogurt, salmon, avocados, lentils, and colorful vegetables. However, nutrition is only one side of the coin. You cannot eat your way to strong legs if you never use them. This brings us to our final pillar, functional movement advice. You don't need a gym membership or fancy equipment. You have the best piece of equipment in your living room right now, your chair. The chair stand is the gold standard for senior fitness. It mimics the most essential movement of daily life, getting up. Here is how we combine the nutrition with the movement. About an hour after you have that high protein, leucine rich meal, say your roasted chicken breast and quinoa, your blood is flooded with amino acids. that is the perfect time to do your chair stands. Sit in a sturdy chair, feet flat on the floor, cross your arms over your chest, stand up fully, tightening your glutes at the top, and then sit back down slowly and with control. Do not flop down. The down part is actually where the muscle gets strongest. Aim for 10 repetitions. If you can't do 10, do 3. Just start. By timing this exercise after your protein intake, you are utilizing the leucine solution to act as a trigger, and the movement acts as the signal. You are telling your body, I have the fuel and I have the demand, build this muscle. We have covered a lot of ground today. We have looked at the sarcopenia warning and how high sodium soups and refined crackers are starving your muscles of blood flow and filling them with fat. We have exposed the nitrate danger in deli meats and the inflammatory fire caused by margarine. We have debunked the myth of the tea biscuit and the meal replacement shake, showing you how sugar stiffens your tissues and low quality protein fails to flip the growth switch. But the most important takeaway isn't about fear, it's about control. Sarcopenia is common, but it is not inevitable. You have the power to rewrite your biology with every bite you take. When you clear these 6 foods from your pantry, you aren't depriving yourself, you are protecting your future. You are choosing to be the person who can stand up from that chair without hesitation, the person who can walk comfortably to the park, the person who maintains their independence well into their 80s and 90s. Knowledge is only potential power. Action is real power. So here is my challenge to you. Go to your pantry today. Pick just one of these 6 categories we discussed. Maybe it is the crackers, maybe the soup, and replace it with a healthier alternative we talked about. Just one change. Then come back here and tell me in the comments, I swapped X for Y. I want to see thousands of you taking that first step. Please like this video and subscribe to the channel because your health is worth fighting for, and we are going to fight for it together. Remember, it is never too late to start, but the best time to start is right now. Stay strong, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next video.